put this right here in hopes that that should be okay. Alright, here's what I'm doing. I have a bunch of paper here. I'm going to send it to somebody to take a quick look over. I was going to send it, which I'm still going to send it via email. However, I'm sure he'd be able to figure it out, but I want to try to make it a little bit easier for him. So I guess this would be the best way. Me looking at it upside down, other than him. Whoop. Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Let me find something to use as a pointer. Well, we'll use this. How's that? Now, if I was able to see here, I'd be okay. I'm thinking we're fine here. All right. This is the back of the property in which I'm on right now. This one here, and this is the one that's in question. So this is the one that I'm on right now, okay? So, this is the property line. There's nothing in question about that one or this one. Now, if you notice, these lines do not run straight. Yes, the lines are straight. You know, the line doesn't go like zigzagging. The lines are straight. However, they're running straight perpendicular to the street. So if I were to take this and say, okay, that's mine, and this is the only thing that I'm showing you, and I hold this due north instead of perpendicular to the street like the rest of them are, then you would say, oh, okay. And somebody just doesn't understand that. So we'll get into that in a minute, because he hired a surveyor. Surveyor didn't know who I was, but as I was driving by, I seen him sitting in his black SUV, whatever it was, and he had, I don't know, a 14-year-old kid with him. And when I pull in, I give a little toot. He gets out of the truck, out of his vehicle, and when he gets out of his vehicle, he turns around, goes back, and picks up his phone like he's talking on it. Now, he's talking to me, but he supposedly has somebody on the phone. So that phone that he's talking to, there's nobody on the other end. You know, otherwise he wouldn't be talking and listening to me. But he's using that as an excuse to say, you know, I better not bother the guy, he's on the phone. You know, that type of thing. So I says to him, what are you using to chart all this out, to take care of this? I said, are you using GPS? You know, I'm playing a little stupid here. He goes, no, I'm using that thing over there. And he points over to the other property line someplace on the other guys, on the other side, you know, and I see a tripod, but that's all I see. And the kid and him were sitting in the truck. Now the kid's still in the truck. This guy is about 5'8" maybe, about 200 pounds, maybe a little bit more. Long, scraggly beard, pointed kinda, and the hair matched. So this guy looked like, again, you don't want to go by looks, but first impressions mean a lot, especially if you're running something to where you know, there's a title involved, or, you know, you're getting paid big money to do this. Anyhow, I says to him, okay. I said, so what is it that you're actually trying to figure out here? And he shows me the same map that the owner showed me, which was a piece of that property, a piece of the owner's property over here, not the spare property, and with it like this. So it's almost like they took a picture of just that. Now it does look like it's from the town, but it's not showing everything being perpendicular to the street, because, you know, you got to look at it. So I says to him, are you licensed? He goes, no. He says, but my boss is. Well, that's okay, because the boss is going to be held responsible. The boss should look at whatever gets turned in. But when I told this guy, I said, by the way, this property up here is 147 feet from the monument, and there is a monument there to get you started. I says, and then from the second piece of property, it's 89 feet. Now, because the monuments there have been covered by the railroad when they came in, at that point, you know, and they have kind of carte blanche. They kind of do what they want. So at that point, I said, you're going to have to go to this monument. He goes, well, I'm just going by what the map said here. So he's just sitting in his van, or his truck, his four-wheel drive SUV, whatever you want to call it, his vehicle, with this kid. And if something has to be done, the kid runs out into the woods, and once he's out there, nobody sees him. You can't, there's no visibility. You know? So anyway, that's basically how it is. He's going by what the owner gave him. And he's just running the survey to that map. He's not getting a sweat. He's not working up nothing. He's sitting in the truck with it running, staying cool with the kid, and getting paid. That's all he did. All right. And when I talked about the monuments, you know, and how there's another monument here and another one over here, oh, I don't need those. I'm just going by what this here says. You know, and every time he shows it, he's always showing it with the straight line going due north. When I talk to him about perpendicular, it's like I was talking another language. Anyway, this is the railroads, part of the railroad. The railroad came in here a few years back and needed some of the property. And I think I told you the story on that. What had happened here is that they were coming in on that spare piece of property to work on the track. When I seen them back there, I said, what are you guys doing? You're cutting down a tree on my property. Who's going to pay for that tree? You know, who told you you can cut the tree down? Well, again, the railroad really does what they want. However, the guy that was running it, the supervisor or whoever, said, oh, I'm sorry, you know, we need to use this. Is it all right? So I says to him, yes, it's okay. However, I need to be able to put my fence up in September because I want to get it up before Christmas. I was waiting for September until it started to cool down a little bit. So the later part of August, beginning of September, you're fine. After that, I'm coming in here. Well, anyway, that was this part here. So how we come to this was, I was back there one day, and there's a couple of suits back there, and they were talking to me. And I said, he said, well, he said, meaning the supervisor that was taking care of this, and he points to him, he said that you said that we can use this. I go, I did. However, I said it has to be done, you have to be out of here by no later than the mid of September, because I got to put a fence up. Oh. Well, how about it? Let's go in and talk about it. So they came in here actually, and we're bullshitting. And they said, well, how about if you give us until next year this time, and we'll give you $6,000. I said, that'll be fine. However, I really don't want you taking down trees because I want to leave this kind of as a wildlife preserve type thing. Because we do get deer, coyotes, fox, you know, squirrels, raccoons, what'd you call it there, the little bobcats. We get a lot of animal life back there because if they follow the track, and the track, most of it is all wooded. And in the wintertime, I actually feed them. Anyway, that has nothing to do with that. So this is what they did. Now, if we follow this down, if I go from here to here, let's go into another map. So these are both owned by the same person, my wife. They're in her name, all right? She was on the deed at the time. So at that point, that's where that name comes from, for this one and this one. This is the one that the house is on, that we actually live on. This is the second piece of property. Now, if you look at this, you can tell. And it also says up here, you know, 1 inch equals 100 or something feet or something like that. It's around here someplace. or it's on another one. Anyway, this is where we're at. This is the property that this other guy owns that he's trying to move in on. So that takes care of that one. That's 3623. Now I don't know if all of them have these marks or not, these numbers. Now this is basically the same thing, but without that little cutout right here that the other one just had. This piece right here. So if we put this one to that one, this part here is kind of missing, and it just goes straight across. Alright, so that's kind of what that is. So this is kind of the same thing. Alright, and again, this is the back side. And I thought I did that on the other one as well. Yeah, I did. Okay. So there's no sense driving you nuts with that. These are just things that I put together real quick, that I pulled up from Google, and kind of went by the monuments that I have and everything that we have, and basically that's it. Now I have a monument over here in the far right corner of the yard. There's another monument up here on the front left corner, and I have another one right here. Now these are actual monuments, and they were put in by a person that actually used to make his own monuments, and he's a well-known surveyor in this area, just that he doesn't do it anymore. I mean, we're talking going back some. But anyway, this is the two properties. The one that I live on with the house, which there's no problems with that one, and this one that we bought from Ed, who used to own it at that point in time, and that's what we have there. And this is basically the same thing. Alright, this one here though, I put some footage on it. And how I got the footage? Well, there's a few ways. One is I took my 100 foot tape. I worked off the monuments that are there, and I measured out the footage, and I came up with the same footage that they have here. 147 feet. Let me turn this around so you can see it. 147 feet on my hunk of property that we're living on, and the spare piece that we bought from Ed is showing 89 feet. Now down here, the rear of 21 is 88 feet, the rear of 19 is 81 feet. Now there is a monument here, so this made this easy to go by. Now I measured from here to where, when we bought this house, and the person we bought it from is the person that actually built it and lived in it all this time. He didn't have a monument there, but he did put a brick monument of his own there, and apparently him and Ed, you know, the owner of the other property, you know, agreed upon it, and it was 81 feet. And that's what we have here, 81 feet. So I measured from there to there, 81 feet. And there's also a 4x4 cedar post that I put a tag on it. The tag says 81 west, or east rather, because we're going that way, and the other one is 88 west. So from here to here is 81 feet, and that's going east. This is going west, 88 feet. So I measured from here to here, and then I measured from there to there, and it comes out the same. Now, these measurements are not true to say. We'll just say they're kind of off, but at this point, I'm finding that they're right on when I start measuring the other property lines, you know. But at that point, that's where we're at. So this one tells me we're here. Now, let's go back 2010. When we bought this property, the guy that lived in this house, Charlie, nice guy. I think he was a nice guy. He appeared to be, and he was helpful to a point. I said, Charlie, I just bought that other piece of property back there. He says, yeah, it was telling me blah, 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 blah. He says, you got any idea where the markers are on this thing? He goes, yeah, and he pulls out an old map, And he goes, you got one here and here. Come on, take a walk with me. Now, he was probably late 60s maybe at the time, mid 60s. So we take a walk. And we're walking, this is all wooded by the way. And we're walking through all this. And he goes, there's one up here on the rock. Now there's a big rock back here. It's like a small mountain. And he says, if you look there, you'll see an iron rebar sticking out. And I did. I said, oh yeah. He goes, and the other one is down here. And then we walk down here, and there's a rebar nailed in the ground over here. He goes, and that's the other one. He goes, so all that is yours, and from here over here, this is all mine. He says, and then he said, these two pieces of property with this one used to be his. He said, I gave it to my son. He said, but my son, being greedy as he is, sold it. And then the new people there built houses on it. Okay. So anyway, that's what Charlie said, the past owner, because he had passed away last year. That's how all this started. So anyway, if you measure from here to here, this is like 240 feet. This is 214 feet. And I've got 240 feet, I believe, here, somewhere around there. I can't see it, it's upside down. And I'm going for cataract surgery next week. So, but at that point, that's kind of where we're at there. And again, here's the railroad. Now, so far, when I checked this out, I used, is this the same, basically the same map? These are probably both the same. I got duplicates from different angles, kind of, only because I wanted to be able to mark them. Okay, these are the same, so there's no sense bothering with both of them. I'll leave it here so you can see it, but okay, again, this is me. This is me. This is 19, that's 21. 23 is the problem child. Now, when he looks at this, he's looking at a straight line, which it is if you look at it that way. But it's not perpendicular to the street. I mean this one, I'm sorry. Right? He's looking at this one being straight, and then he looks at this one being straight, and then he said that's it. But if you look at this perpendicular to the street, like the rest of them, they all have that cant off to the west. Here's the street. Now I haven't done any drawing or anything on these maps at all, but that's it. So, this is us, 19, 21, 23, the problem child. Same thing here. Now, what I did, I tried to do this as accurate as I could do. So I used the tape, went out with a hammer and some wooden sticks and some ribbon, and I went along as best I could. That gravel they used back there, that the track used, M-Track, to do what they did, it's very hard to walk on. I'm 75 years old. You know, I got a bad back, I had back surgery, I had a heart attack, I mean, so on and so forth. So for me to get back there, sometimes it's tough. However, I am going to go back there shortly because there's other things I want to do. So let's turn this back around this way. Okay, again, this one's the same. Now, if you look at this so-called straight line, according to them, but I'm not using this as the word. I'm just using this as we're reading on it. You know what I mean? We're checking it out. This has a little bit of a cant to it. You know, it's not perfectly straight. Well, okay. We can assume that it might be off a little bit. You know, you never know. But 88 feet, 81 feet, it all measures up. Now, the rock is right about here. I really don't want to mark on this too much, but let me do a little bit. Where are we? Let me get back over here. Okay, here. The rock is right about here. It's a big rock. I mean, it's got to be 25 easy feet high. And the footprint, I'm going to say is probably close to 80 by whatever, maybe another 80, who knows. And so it's big. It's not like it's just a little boulder that you can get out of there. And on that rock, which comes over to here, right about here, he has a stake, that rebar, right about there. I'm going to mark this a little darker, seeing that we got a lot of them. So right about there is where the rebar is, where the old man was saying. Now, if that's the case, if we did go straight here, it would go right over that rebar. Yeah. Now, the old man, Charlie, who again I somewhat trust at this point. I don't know about this piece in the rock, that piece of rebar. But anyway, when we got over to here, I said to him, "Whereabouts is the monument, or any markers or anything?" And that's when he said, "Well, we have this up here." Well, I'm wondering about that up there. There's nothing on there to identify it other than a piece of rebar. Fine, you know, it's not a big deal, shit happens. But this was here, and he did say something about this. I don't remember what he said, so I don't want to mislead anybody, but he did say something about this. So that also made me think that maybe it is going straight, and part of that is actually on the property that's supposed to be mine. But anyway, again, let me get back because I started to divest. I used the tape measure, some wooden stakes, ribbon, hammer, fumbled around back there, measured it out, and all these numbers were coming up as it is. And then I also went back there with a GPS. Now, GPSs aren't as accurate as military GPSs, but the WAAS system, all right, Wide Area Augmentation System, they claim that that's accurate within 3 feet. Okay, so let's just say this is off by 3 feet. That doesn't put him like this, because he's going this way. You follow me? Now, I have other maps here to show you, so hold on a minute. I don't mean to keep you busy here, but I've been kind of going through this, and I wanted to make it as easy as possible for you. Again, us, the property that's in question, which we've had now since 2010 or better. We've been taking care of it, cared for it, fenced it in. All right. So at that point, that's where we have. And the old man Charlie was around all this time up until last year. So now it's not all fenced in, because there is some trees and stuff here that I wanted to leave for the wildlife, and we have dogs, 5 of them. So it kind of goes this way a little bit, the fence. It's not straight, because I wanted to leave this wooded, and he's got a big old bulldozer back there that he's trying to level everything. So, but anyway, that's what that one is. Again, a lot of these are just duplicates because I wanted to start drawing on them, and I didn't want to ruin the only ones I had. This one here, AH, that's, you know who it is. This is the property that I call 17, and this is the other one, which is ours. So those are the 2 pieces of property again with the track. Now, I just called somebody I know that's an engineer at Amtrak, and I left him a message asking him if he can give me a hand with some of this. Now, this is the same thing with the railroad. This is the easement that was given to them, this part right here. And if you measure this out, we got 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 67 matches, and then 67, 77, 88. So it matches out if we go by everything that this says. All right. Now, the other one, again, I showed you by the railroad, from here to here, kind of kicks down this way, because they had to be able to get in. Now, that, I don't know exactly. I didn't go that far. Again, the same thing. Again, I don't want to bore you with all this stuff. There's the one, again, with the railroad. It goes like this. And if you take this line and bring it up to there, we're right back to where we're supposed to be. Now, I have a fence up there. Let's just assume this is that one piece of property, and it goes on that angle. I put a piece of I had a kid do it for me. I said, I want you to dig a hole here, here, here. So they're 6 feet apart. And put up, and I gave him all the material, a 4-foot chain link fence. That kind of outlines that corner as to where the property line is to a point. Because when I put this up, I told the guys that were working on the railroad that, because they gave me the okay, they were fine, they went by time. I said, when I put this up, I'm going to come in 2 feet. I'll give you an extra 2 feet to get in and out of there with. Great, thank you. So the property marker is right about here. However, there's 6 feet of railroad fill. Small process underneath it, that heavy stuff on top of it. If you try to walk on it, you slide into it and slide down it. You know what I'm talking about. But this is number 17, and that's there. And that goes towards that stake, that rebar that's in the rock. Again, Charlie was around when I was doing all this. There was no problem. All right, now let's get to the grid. You can print this grid out online. I use this a lot when I'm doing things with the Coast Guard, when I'm doing things with ham radio. This is a worldwide grid. You can zoom in more, zoom out, whatever you want to do. If I drew these lines myself, perpendicular to the street. This is what we end up with. Again, I'm over here. He's saying I'm over here. Because he's saying that this is straight from his marker on the street down. Well, if that's the case, he's also cutting into some of Charlie's stuff. You know what I mean? This whole thing was a cluster. So that's the grid. If you look it up, you can find it online. Just type in the grid. Here it is here. Hold on a minute. Ham radio. A grid square locator. Geographically with maps. By Hotel Alpha 8 Tango Kilo Sierra. These are just the properties on the taxes and stuff in the house. That has nothing to do with that, really. Again, I don't mean to bother you with this long video. I'm just giving you something to try to make it easy. You know, you'll probably blow right through this. You're not going to take the time that I did. That's the same thing. A lot of these are just duplicates. I'm going to email them to you, but I wanted you to have an idea. Here we are again with that little jog, but it's a smaller version of it. So, and again, that's 17, and this is us, and 19 and 21 and 23 are over here. There's another one. Oh, this is basically the same one, but a little different. Again, I don't want to duplicate and go through the whole thing over and over and over again. Same thing. Like I say, I got some duplicates so I can use them if I had to do some marking and do what I had to do. Okay, this is a blow-up version of the property line and where they came in and took some of this to use while they were working. And this is the same thing. So anyway, guys, or Martin, Mr. Dean, you must get teased about that a lot, I would think. I guess Mom and Dad like Dean Martin, huh? Yeah. So that's where we're at, guys. So I'm hoping that between what I'm going to email you, I emailed you a test, and I didn't see anything come back to me that you received it. So I don't know if you even got it or if I even put the right email in there. I put the one in there that's on the text that you sent me, but that's as far as I got. So, like I say, I didn't get any reply because I did subject that test, and I think I put on there test email, you know, to see if it went through and to see if you were going to reply. You didn't reply. You're probably busy as all hell, and I'm sorry to bother you with all this, especially if we really don't know what's going on. If you're busy, you just want to give me a pointer, you know, person to person, not professional to non-professional, whatever way you want to call it, whatever. So, I do appreciate it, Dean. Talk soon.